I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Do you need my assistance?
Don't be ridiculous. I'm capable of dealing with this myself. I've just not taken the time to do so.
Then you are lucky that I have taken the time to do so. Consider it a gesture of solidarity between professionals.
I wish this hospital could have received as much attention from you, Dr. Reed. We do not see you in surgery very often.
Do you think Dr. Strickland has any chance of curing the Spanish flu by himself?
His wish to cure the sick is not driven by pride, but by an idealistic view about our mission here. Honestly, I don't know which is worse.
You consider him a good practitioner, yet you will not report his methods.
Strickland may be a rival, but I will not use dirty tricks or regulations to prove him wrong. We are doctors, not politicians.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later. Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening.
Is there anything else that's bothering you? Can I help in any way?
Really? Why has no one else asked me that since I got here? I thought I was in a hospital.
Unfortunately, you are not the only person who needs help. And complaining about it won't do you any good.
Well, perhaps you're right, Dr. Reed. I'm sure if me missus was still alive, she wouldn't be happy with me going on like this.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
With you at our... side, Dr. Reed, I know that Pembroke will prevail and survive this epidemic.
Good evening, sir. The words to calm the children. As for me, you blundering idiot.
Good evening, Doctor.
Do you require medical...
Do you know you're the only one who's asked me this? No. I don't feel well, actually.
Despite what you think about this place, I can tell you with absolute certainty, taking this will help you recover.
Well, at least your reputation seems well-deserved. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for this hospital.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Do you need any medical help, Milton?
I'm afraid I do. Like everyone in this hospital. It's a sad state of affairs when even the hospital workers are worried about disease.
Our job brings us into contact with all kinds of infections, Milton. There's no shame in being ill while you're in a hospital.
That's easy for you to say, Doctor. I get the feeling you don't fall sick often. Well, thanks, anyway.
Goodbye, Milton. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Do you require medical assistance, Nurse?
I will be fine as soon as I can get some sleep.
Nurse, you won't be able to help people if you're sick. Take this, and do try to get some rest.
I'll try, Dr. Reed. Thank you.
Goodbye, Nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Good place for a stroll. Dive! Ready, boys! We've got one of them! We have to stop it!
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
I have made inquiries about the men who were tracking you, Miss Howcroft.
I did not expect a mortal to have this sort of courage. Speak, Doctor. Why are they hunting me down?
It was a misunderstanding. These hunters were in fact looking for a very different creature, but they mistakenly put their sights on you.
I knew it. I have become undone. Those hunters have discovered me, but they don't know what I'm capable of.
If you'll accept some advice from a petty mortal, I think you should assume a low profile and just quietly disappear into the shadows.
You are right. And you have served me well, mortal. Take this as a reward for your time. Perhaps I will allow you to drink deep of my blood. One day.
Thank you. I'll keep that proposition in mind. I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Petrescu. What are you doing here?
I could ask you the exact same question, Mr. Doctor. Now leave me alone.
I heard what happened to Nurse Crane. How do you feel, Mr. Petrescu?
Everything was going well until you arrived. Dorothea helped people and will be sorely missed.
I regret it too. I wish she'd continued working at the Pembroke Hospital. She was a good nurse.
So you put an end to the operation. Did you put an end to Dorothea as well?
You seem to have a lot on your chest, sir. What's wrong?
I heard you are a famous surgeon. Tell me, what did you do to Dorothea? She was so bright, so clever. Then you made her an empty shell.
I didn't use drugs or medical trickery, Mr. Petrescu. All I did was talk to Nurse Crane. I promise you.
But what happened to her then? After you left, she did not even recognize me. Then she got careless and sick, and I had to flee.
What do you plan to do now that Nurse Crane is gone?
I'm not sure. Strange men came to see me after Dorothea's death, with strange weapons and very odd stories.
What kind of stories?
Stories all Romanian children know. It was as if I was home again. Vampires, Mr. Doctor. Vampires.
You believe them? Aren't you too old to hold a weapon or listen to scary stories?
Yes, I am old and alone and will die soon, but if these stories are true, maybe I have found myself another cause.
Are you living on the streets, Mr. Petrescu?
And why not? Those who believe they'll be safe behind walls are blind.
What about your house?
My house is always open to any poor soul needing a roof. All my work here is lost now that Dorothea is gone, thanks to you.
Why are you so aggressive?
I remember the night you came here and convinced me to open my door to you, sir. I'd like to punch you right on your chops.
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
This district seems to get uglier every year.
Mr. Bates.
Evening, Doctor.
Have you heard anything about Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Not really.
Why am I not convinced?
Maybe it's because you lack faith. Being a skeptic must be useful for a man of science.
A man such as yourself, knee-deep in the muck of Whitechapel, must know more. Speak now.
Heard it closed after the owners died. Refugees don't want to come to Whitechapel no more. Scared, I hear.
You sound disappointed.
As long as she was there at the dispensary, it attracted more immigrants and kept my place full. Such a shame.
A man such as yourself,
as long as...
You seem to have recovered well since your attack. Do you ever think about what happened to you?
Not much. It was a fucking nightmare. Savages, absolute bloody savages. Their appearance. Jesus. It made me want to puke.
You'd better not come back here. I won't be around next time to save you.
evil to deserve such punishment. My only regret is that no one will mourn me, for I have never been loved.
driven by many.
All the good boys join the army and the scum turn criminal. What?
Shooting a boy in the middle of the street. Not the best thing to do, wouldn't you say?
What? You saw what happened? Who are you?
I'm Dr. Reed, and I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you promise me to set your gun aside.
No. Look, I'm not a violent man. I'm Benjamin Palmer, doctor. And no one can help me. Not even you.
Have you any news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Not recently.
What can you tell me about this place?
Nothing to say, really. This is where I used to live, and this is where I live now.
You don't have anywhere to go? No family that would welcome you?
Not since the death of my wife, Albert's mother. She was sick, you see. Long before the flu and all this shit.
You mean you used to have a better life?
Yeah, I had a wife, a home, and a job. I even used to have a name. And now I'm just Ben. Ben the Tramp.
Perhaps you could focus for a moment and tell me your troubles.
I'm sick, broke, and my son just stole my pills. Everything's coming up roses.
Whatever the boy did, I'm sure he didn't deserve a public execution.
I swear I didn't want to hit him. It's just that I'm sick in the head, you see, and the boy just faked me last nerve.
I have found a very interesting letter. Your son planned to prove his worth to the gang by stealing your medicine.
Oh, I see. So the little bugger thought he could use his dad to build a reputation.
The gang's recruiter was dead when I found him. Perhaps you should take better care of your son.
I love my Albert, sir. Believe me. It's just... well, I'm an arsehole, I suppose. Anyway, thanks for the letter. This is for your trouble.
A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
I'm so sorry.
Good evening.
Sure.
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
You're mine! See them fancy clothes? This one's time!
Are you all right, miss?
I don't know. Who were those people? They wanted to kill me. Why?
They've lost their minds in the epidemic. They won't come back for now.
You seem to know a lot about them, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm investigating this disease.
I am Xiaoxun. Thank you so much for helping me, Mr. Reed. I must go to the cemetery now. Goodbye.
Carnage. Is Father Whitaker's disciple among the bodies, I wonder? This man's far too old to be Samuel. No. By the look of his clothes, this man's a docker. Samuel isn't here. I had better follow the blood trail. Shouldn't you go back home, where you'll be safe?
Maybe later. But for now, I need to talk to my husband at the cemetery, Mr. Reed.
As I feared. Samuel no longer preaches the gospel.
Not a good place for a stroll.
no protection against malevolence and trickery.
Good evening, Mr. Whitaker.
It's Father Whitaker, my son. So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
I have found Samuel, your disciple. I am afraid I have bad news.
I already expected the worst. He should already have come back. He is dead, isn't he?
Yes, he is now. The epidemic took him.
Samuel steadily made donations to our cause. He would have rewarded you himself if you'd found me in that awful cemetery. Please accept this money.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Oh, Dorothea. I'm so sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Do you need medical help yourself, nurse?
I'm afraid I've contracted some illness, Dr. Reed.
Not under my watch, nurse. Take this. You'll feel better.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. Evening, Edgar. Could I get your professional opinion?
Please speak, but I have something important to tell you.
This strain of flu, it's very different from the one I saw in Europe. It's downright peculiar.
Really? What makes you say that?
I've just looked at the blood of one of our recently deceased.
I see. Do you have anything more to go on?
This disease spreads and looks like the Spanish flu, but its effects differ greatly. The London strain is different from the continental one.
This is very interesting. Did you find something else?
Yes. Unlike the flu, the infected begin to show an increase in outwardly aggressive behavior. More than simple agitation. Once docile people become violent.
You mean like rabies? Is there a chance we could create a vaccine, Jonathan, like Pasteur? By the stole, that would be smashing.
There's a lot we're not seeing here. But it is spreading, and quickly. If we don't act, the whole city could be lost.
But Jonathan, we've a fantastic opportunity sitting right here in front of us. A weapon of choice.
What on earth do you mean?
Why, you, my dear boy. With your expertise and your blood, we could isolate the properties that course through your veins. Think about the possibilities.
I admit it did occur to me. Blood seems to be the common factor in all of this.
I totally agree. We're in uncharted territory here. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but imagine the possibilities.
We'll discuss this more later. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you, Jonathan. But as I said, I needed to talk to you. I have some rather bad news.
Yes?
I'm afraid it's your sister.
My sister?
She's to be buried this evening at Whitechapel Cemetery. Your mother published the obituary this morning.
I see.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. Please accept my condolences.
I never thought I would have to attend my murdered sister's funeral. Mary, I can't forgive myself. I'll find the truth about what happened to us. I swear.
Safer places to be than here. Elise! Bloody leech!
My dear sister, I don't know if I have the strength. Are you all right, Miss Shun?
My name is Xiao Shun. This is the proper way to address someone in my country.
I do apologize, Xiao Shun. Are you all right?
Yes, I am. This is the only place where I can find some kind of serenity. Some way to remember my dear Matthew.
Are you on your own? Do you have any friends or family who you could be with?
I have family and friends, but I need to be here alone. One day maybe I'll go back to them, but not now. I need silence, and I need sadness.
I've seen many deaths in my life, and we all grieve in our own way. Some stay silent, or need to shout. Others need company, and some just can't stand it.
Thank you for your sincere words, Dr. Reed. I sense you trying to help me, even if I don't quite understand why.
Tell me how your husband died, Xiao Shun.
Matthew died of the Spanish flu, like so many others. It's a mundane cause of death these days. But for me, it meant the end of the world.
At this time, there is so little medical science can do to defeat this terrible epidemic. I'm truly sorry.
The worst thing is not his death, even if it tears me apart. The worst is not to have seen it coming, to have lost him so quickly, even before realizing it.
Did he hide his condition from you?
Matthew was a smiling type, a happy sort. Everything that I am not. Did he laugh at his death to come, or did he not realize what was going to happen? I'll never know.
The Spanish flu may be the worst disease mankind has ever faced. Why are you blaming yourself?
You don't understand. I didn't know he was so sick. I didn't realize the gravity of his situation until it was too late.
As harsh as this sounds, we are all equally vulnerable to this awful disease. It can take the strongest man in just a couple of days.
I never said goodbye to Matthew. We never realized how bad it was. We laughed about it even. He always made me laugh. Now I don't have enough tears to shed.
You realize you can't stay here forever, don't you? Eventually, you'll have to leave the cemetery.
Why? Why should I go? Since this is the only place I can find peace of mind.
But you're not dead. There is a difference between visiting the dead and staying with them.
You sound like you're no stranger to the pain I feel.
Let's just say, I too have a good reason to visit cemeteries at night.
Please accept my condolences for your loss then, Dr. Reed.
Are you a doctor yourself? Is this why you feel so guilty for not saving your sick husband?
No, I am not. But I still need to blame someone for Matthew's death. And who else, if not his wife, who did not see it coming?
I'm a physician. One of the best in the country. But I was unable to save my own sister, Mary. She died in my arms.
Why tell me this? Is it supposed to make me feel better?
No. But I wanted you to know that you have done nothing wrong. Unlike me.
May I ask what caused the death of your sister?
You could say she was also killed by a terrible disease. A disease I have sworn to fight and cure, no matter how long it takes.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Dr. Reed. Maybe it's time we start to rebuild our lives, you and I.
You should go home now.
I think you're right. Cemeteries are for the dead, for they need silence too. Thank you for your honesty and your wisdom, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your company, Xiaoshun. Take care on the way home.
Maybe I'll see you again in Whitechapel. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.
Matthew. The world has gone completely mad.
Since I can't reveal myself to my mother now, I must find a discreet spot to attend the ceremony. Avery, I leave you to care for my mother. I'm in no state to comfort her.
I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. We commend unto thy hands of mercy, most merciful Father, the soul of our sister departed, and we commit her body to the ground. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Why kill my Mary and stick her here in this cold, god-awful place?
These are the legal requirements for the epidemic, madam.
Oh, Avery, I feel so tired. Please take me home.
Yes, madam.
Mary, what have I done? If I could only change one thing. One thing. This is a nightmare.
Jonathan, there is nothing you can do but accept it.
What brings you here?
I thought you could use the company. I am so sorry for your loss, Jonathan.
She was a good person. Vibrant, full of life. She was kindness incarnate, my Mary.
You're a good person, Jonathan. And a young Ekon. A newborn cast into the night without so much as a candle to guide your way.
She had been scouring the most dangerous parts of London in search of me. And it led to her death.
Jonathan, don't.
I still hear her last thoughts. They echo in my head. Her mind shattered, and it haunts me.
Jonathan, stop. Listen carefully. You must come to terms with this. You must learn to live with what happened.
How can I? I've destroyed my family. My poor mother. I can't even console her.
Don't you see? You're doing the work of our enemies, feeding your remorse. We are weakest when we grieve, and the guilt blurs our senses.
And so this is why you're here. To warn me. You've felt this pain yourself. You too have endured this.
I don't want to lose you, Jonathan. I've lost so many friends. Loved ones I cherished. Pray for Mary's forgiveness, if you must.
You may be right.
Of course. I've stared upon this world for centuries. And time has taught me to deal with guilt, if not erase it.
What should I do then?
St. Mary's Church is not far from here. Go there and make your peace. Find the solace you need.
My lady wants me to confess.
No, Jonathan. It's you who wants to confess, I think.
This is no place for a gentleman.
And off to church he goes, a newborn seeking divine consent to lick the blood from the soft and pointy crown.
Who are you? Make yourself known.
Newborn, you reek of guilt and pointless compassion. Shed your skin. Forget your old, weaker self.
What do you want from me?
Ascalon does not approve of lone wolves who bring unwanted eyes to our pastures.
So your name is Ascalon?
Ascalon's will is vampire law. Learn them, abide by them, or I shall return as your judge and jury.
These immortals try my patience with their plans and unsolicited counsel.
Best run along home, sir.
Eat this! God, taste it!
Demon!
There's one of them birds!
Come on, back to the shadows!
This man stunned me with his faith. His crucifix. This is not good news.
Morbidity can breathe its own.
Good evening, Mr. Nithicott. And do you need medical... I will see you later. I'll leave you alone, sir. Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you a few questions. I know what you're thinking. A tall stranger who meets a girl in the street at night. It reeks of the penny dreadfuls. But I mean you no harm, truly. Tell me, Camellia, how are things now the dispensary is closed? I know you understand what I'm saying. Your silence has nothing to do with you being mute, does it? Tell me about Richard Nithicott. I understand he is quite fond of you, Camellia. You don't seem to need my medical attention. Very well.
Good evening, Doctor. Can I help you?
Do you need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doctor.
If you persist in investigating the most pox-ridden boroughs of London, you must accept the risks.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell. Good evening.
It's far.
Don't you fear getting sick yourself?
Faith gives me all I need, my son. If I must fall, then so be it.
No doubt your faith will prevail, but let me give you some extra protection against the devil's work. Medicine.
Blessed be your generosity, my son.
I have had enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Something going on in this district. I don't know what. Like a secret or a plot I must reveal.
I'm cheap.
Fancy bar.
You never... Do you need help?
To be honest.
I don't quite agree, but I won't argue with you. Please, take this. You'll feel better.
Really? Free? Don't take it personally, but charity usually comes at a price. Human nature being what it is.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
You again?
Can I offer you my medical expertise, Mr. Peterson?
Keep your medicines for others.
There is a thin line between pride and stupidity, sir. Please, take this medication. You'll feel better.
All right. I'll take it then. It's not like I don't appreciate the gesture.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Yes? What is it that you want?
I'm sorry to disturb you at such a late hour.
No worries, my son. I'm still quite awake, having just returned from a funeral.
Yes, I know. I've forgotten what I wanted. I don't know.
May I help you, child? You seem somewhat perturbed.
I haven't the strength to cross the threshold. I wish to pray, to cleanse my soul.
The church is shut by order of the bishop. But I'm still the vicar of St. Mary's, if that is any use to you, my son.
You seem to me a good soul, Vicar. But this is a personal matter.
There are no secrets from God, my son. If your heart needs comfort, consider me your chapel. For I can be as silent as stone.
I've words for one departed. They're not for living ears to hear.
Your eyes burn with rage, yet I see the pain that lies beyond. I am here to lighten the burden of all God's creatures. Whatever you tell me is between us and the Lord.
Very well, priest, as you seem quite adamant.
Open your heart, my son. Tell me what burdens you. With whom do you wish to speak?
She was my sister.
You seem so troubled by the loss of this girl. What happened to her?
She was murdered.
I see. And how are you feeling, my son?
I feel responsible. The pain is consuming me.
I have a final question for you, my son. This is of the utmost importance.
Ask your question, Vicar.
What words would you like to say to your poor sister?
I'm so sorry, Mary. I promise to find who is responsible for all this. I'll put an end to this horror.
You have been heard, my son, and your burden will lighten if your words are sincere. Go in peace now, and live your life in the way she would have wanted.
There. I confessed to that vicar. Do I feel better? Only time will tell.
The walls of your home will not protect you.
Smells like rotten meat. One near, I know it.
This one's mine!
This could be the box Lewis thought he lost. There's a letter inside. A love letter from Joe Peterson's wife, addressed to Barrett Lewis. Who should I give it to, I wonder?
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? I found this box in an abandoned building nearby. I believe it belongs to you.
Let's have a look. Yeah, this is mine. So, you faced those loons that roam around there. Extraordinary.
I suppose I was lucky.
Luck is a commodity round here. Yours should be properly rewarded.
About this package, it's not just tools and trinkets, is it?
I want to be rude or anything after your kind gesture, but it's none of your business.
Barrett, you had an affair with Joe's wife, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. She's the only woman I loved. My first regret is that she stayed with Joe after Harry was born. The second is I never shed a tear when she died.
Did you ever try talking to Joe?
Never. But I suspected he knew everything, even without knowing it. And he decided to make me pay in his own way.
Do you mean you're Harry's father?
No one will ever know for sure. And it's better that way. And I don't believe I'd have been all that bad as a dad.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
I should have never have taken up my father's business.
You again?
Goodbye.
When science fails you,
He's mine! I'll take it! Away with you!
remember you.
Fear, be gone. I would harm no child of my making.
This is your doing. You made me this creature. What are you?
I am the land. You are our champion.
You selected me, chose me.
As shall my children yet to come.
What is it you seek?
This age is sickly. An ancient poison, an older rage, brewed in a cauldron newly forged.
This has something to do with the epidemic.
Seek truth, my champion. Defeat the serpent of knowing with iron spur.
I've had enough of others making decisions for me, pretending to know how I should feel or behave. So the vampire who made me is some sort of disembodied entity? Or was he just projecting this vision in my mind? Maybe Edgar can help me with this one.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCullum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the guard.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
I know this place means something to you. I have noticed how you suppress your appetite when around the staff and patients.
You need to know you can trust me, Edgar.
I do, dear fellow, I do.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Do you really believe they would come for us here? In such a public venue?
McCullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this. Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
My blood and soul, they belong to you now.
The life running in your veins. This dead flesh needs it.
Oh, please spare
I wonder why
me,
the Goslings
darling.
came here in the first place.
Spare your obedient slave.
What on earth happened here?
Time has lost its effect on me, but the suffering continues.
Oh, Jonathan, I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman, butchered by some savage scowl.
Yes, and I'm afraid I'm at least partially responsible. The man, the scowl, I brought him here.
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent, for there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
Have you embraced this woman, like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? A hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon.
Over there! There's one of them vermin! It's one of them! Yay! Watch yourselves! There's one of them! God walks with me! Ah!
Please, I don't have your money.
There is something going on in this district.
Good evening, Miss.
And good evening.
Do you need...
It may be...
I understand your appetite for words and macabre beauty, sir. But you should be more careful.
The nutrition of my mind is more important than my physical health. But I appreciate your concern, sir.
I'll leave you alone, sir.
Over there! There's one of them vermin! Over there! There's one of them vermin!